Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and we are having just seen the penultimate episode of this season's Doctor Who. Wow, a lot to unpack here. It opens with the Doctor arriving at Unit. His TARDIS is kind of wonkier than usual as he skids into the main computer area. There he meets Harriet, who's a computer tech, and Melvin, a 12-year-old prodigy. Or he was. I'm not sure. It was kind of hard to find. Everybody was talking so fast. And of course, Rose, the daughter of Donna Noble, is working at Unit now. And to no one's surprise, she and Ruby hit it off like that. Anyways, the main reason the Doctor's there is he needs some help with this strange lady that keeps popping up everywhere. And as he starts to explain, whether they all stop him and go, yeah, we already know about her. We do? Yes. And they show him footage of her. Her name is Susan Tedesco. Or, I'm sorry, Susan Tedesco. Susan Triad. And she runs up S-Triad, Striad, a company, that software company, and she's created this incredible software that she's going to give to the world and is making a public announcement of it later that day. Mel, former companion of the Colin Baker Doctor and member of Unit, is now undercover as her assistant, in which one of her duties is to keep an eye on her and to also get a daily DNA sample. Now, the Doctor then figures out S-Triad. That's an anagram for TARDIS. Yes, we know that, Doctor. And then the Doctor realizes, wait a minute, my granddaughter Susan, back in the William Hartnell era, was left on Earth in the future. Could this be her? Wait a minute, you have a granddaughter? But the second reason they are there is to see if Unit, all their technology, can help figure out who Ruby's mother is. Detailing the things that were discovered from the Maestro and the snow thing and all that. Well, Ruby does have a VHS tape of the security camera from that night. It was given to her by the orphanage, and she and her mom watch it every year at Christmas because that's technically her birthday, because that's when she was found. So, So she and Rose go off to get it. While they're out, the Doctor and Kate have a very interesting, poignant conversation. I mean, it's been hundreds of years since the Doctor's seen Susan. He doesn't know if he can go to see her. Well, would she recognize you? Well, yes, Gallifreyans always recognize each other. Well, having a granddaughter means you have a family. And his response is, not yet. Not yet? It's a Time Lord problem. Everything's always out of... nothing is ever linear with Gallifreyans. Ruby's mom insists on coming with them, so they go, and Mrs. Flood is asked to watch Grandma. And while with Grandma, she says something very sinister. He who waits, waits no more. The storm approaches. Gotta wonder about Mrs. Flood. She knew a TARDIS when she saw it. Anyway, they return with the tape, as does Mel with her daily DNA sample, which shows that Susan is human. Again, but that could always change, so they always have a daily check. With the videotape and unit technology, the doctor says we should use your time window. Well, what time window? You strictly forbid us from ever using any kind of time technology. So they're saying you don't have a time window? Well, yeah, we do have a time window. So they go to the time window and hook the tape to it, and the doctor, Ruby, and Captain, what is his name? Chitazi, I think that's the correct pronunciation, step in, and the time window pulls up a 360 image around them, and the people on the outside can see them in there. But before they turn on the machine, it starts to snow in there. Again, that thing with Ruby where she pulls up memories. So they pull up the window, and this has taken a lot of energy, more energy than they usually run. And for some reason, they still cannot make out the face of Ruby's mother. And then she stops when she's walking away, turns and points. Is she pointing at the doctor who's in the window or the doctor that is in the memory on the tape? They ask Chitosi to take a look. He really shouldn't move. That was very explicit, but he takes a look, finds nothing. And then this entity appears from around the TARDIS in the window. And they can't contact Chitosi. And fortunately, there's so much power being used that the window just basically shuts off. It's too much. Power's down. Actually, there's some sparks, so it might have just fried itself. Anyway, Chitosi's dead. He's turned into petrified sand, basically. Well, okay, the doctor's got to go see Susan now. This is imperative. He's got to know answers. So off he and Mel go. And they meet Susan. And doesn't recognize him. And we get a classic throwback from the very origins of Doctor Who. When he says, I'm the doctor. And she says, Doctor Who. Because that was the running joke when the show was first created. He wasn't supposed to be named Doctor Who. The joke was, well, he's the doctor, and then someone would say Doctor Who. So it's a nice little throwback to the origins, like Susan. But she does mention some weird dreams that she has, and he starts naming off all the places he's been where she appeared, and she is, oh God. And she doesn't want to deal with it. She's got a presentation to give, and she goes off. And a image of the entity now appears on the actual videotape that Ruby had. Now, that is impossible. But then it turns out it's actually invisible but surrounding the TARDIS, explaining why all the wonkiness has been happening this season. Then, while Susan's giving her presentation, the words start changing. And her voice starts changing. And the entity appears around the TARDIS, and it's starting to take a solid form. And the doctor contacts, because he's got one of them ear things that everybody in unit has now, and tells Ruby she's got to get to the window. So she runs to the window, which turns on when she enters. And has the entity is solidifying, and Susan's speech changes. The doctor realizes they had the wrong anagram. Now, before we get to the big review, I gotta mention something. A lot of people online, in different YouTube channels, were speculating who the big bad would be this season. He Who Waits. And it came down between Omega and Sutek. Now, Omega first appeared in the John Pertwee era. He was the creator of all Time Lord technology, harnessing the power of a black hole. Unfortunately, he himself was trapped, and in trying to escape, he was draining off all the energy, all the time energy, and everything was going haywire, and things were happening. And in order to defeat him, they had to stop him, because if he did break free, the release of energy would have destroyed the entire universe. And so they tricked him with something, and explosions, and he stayed trapped. Or destroyed, we don't know. Now, Sutek was an alien who was in a massive war with other aliens, and they crashed on Earth back in the ancient times. And their main battle was witnessed by the Egyptians, and is the basis for a lot of their mythology and architecture, the pyramids and things, and mummies and such. And of course, the Doctor defeated him he was trapped under a pyramid on Mars. The episode was Pyramids of Mars. This is during the Tom Baker era. And he was forcing the Doctor to complete a time tunnel so that he could go down the tunnel and get back to Earth. And of course, do the usual takeover. And the Doctor tricked him by making the end of the tunnel infinite. It was so far along he could never get out. He would never reach Earth. The big reveal. The Doctor says the anagram was wrong and reconstituted as Sutek. Oh, computer tech Harriet? Her last name is Harbinger. She was another Harbinger. And Susan transforms into sort of a minion, as does Harriet. And I think one of the other people of unit got overtaken too. And no, they turned to sand and collapsed. And then Sutek taunts the Doctor. Oh, did you think I was a member of your family? And Susan reaches for him to grasp him and destroy him, and credits. Oh, just at that moment. Yeah, good cliffhanger. Good episode. I don't dive as deep into the mythology as some of the people online, so I really wasn't sure who the big baddie would be. But Sutek, pretty good one. He's amazingly powerful. He's, again, like the toy maker and the maestro, is of a other dimension, and great new design. Looks almost like a new, almost like cross between an Anubis type dog and a demon. It's really good. And now, in the Tom Baker one, his minions were usually people that he had killed and then reanimated. So I don't know if that's what Susan and Harriet are, but wow. One of the things I like is that Ruby and Rose automatically became besties. And although they didn't have a lot to do in this episode, I think a spinoff with those two would be awesome. Oh, and for some of you out there who are upset that I keep referring to Rose as Donna's daughter when it should be her son because she's trans. I said what I said. Daughter. Anyway, really good episode. Really exciting. I like that they gave Nakuti. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. That little bit of drama between him and Kate, where they're having a serious conversation, because he hasn't really actually had a time in the season so far to do that. He's always usually so upbeat and just thrilled at everything and everybody. When he comes into the unit the first time, he's meeting all the new people. He's so excited to meet these people. Oh, it's someone new. Oh, this is so interesting. And just to see him vulnerable and when thinking about his family, and the sad statement he makes about why he's not been back to see Susan, because he brings death and destruction and chaos wherever he goes. Oh, God, I just hit you right there. Yeah, really good episode. Looking forward to the season finale and all that that's going to entail with all these monsters and things going on, and how's the Doctor going to figure out a way, because he barely defeated Sutek last time. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.